Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Was Imprisoned and Got Dark Genie with Unlimited Wishes movie. Before we start, please go support Bretrain5 for writing that awesome fanfic. The life of Izuku Yagi has been nothing shorter than pure hatred. He has constantly been abused, neglected, and tortured by his so-called parents and siblings. He has also been bullied and mocked by his so-called friends every day. All because of something beyond his own control. The only ones who actually cared for him were Nezu, some pro-heroes, the Midoriya family, Class 1B and their family, Melissa and her father, the Yaoi Rozu family and the Jiru family. It wasn't till he was framed for a crime he never committed as he was sent to Tartarus for the rest of his life. While in prison, he would meet a dark genie who could grant him any wish he desires. With the dark genie in his possession, he will stop at nothing to destroy hero society and recreate it under his control. Look out world, here comes Izuku. Prologue. My personal genie. No one Pav. Our story begins at Tartarus prison, where a young 20-year-old young man with black and green hair was seen within his cell, looking up at the ceiling. It has been 4 years since Izuku Midoriya, formerly Yagi, was framed and arrested for a crime he never committed as he was accused for treason, providing the League of Villains with information, but he knew who framed him. Izuku knew damn well that it was Toshinori Yagi, aka Almight and Tori Yagi, aka Lady Night-Eye, the two bitch-ass parents that has neglected and abused Izuku for years for being powerless. Oh, that's not all, he was also abused by his so-called siblings, Hana Yagi and Stan Yagi, as they would bully him wherever they want, whenever they want, and no one really do anything to stop them. Along with Hana and Stan, there were the so-called friends of Izuku Yagi, who turned their backs on him and become his bullies, but he was lucky enough that some have smart enough and still become his friends. The only people who actually cares about Izuku is Nezu, some pro-heroes, the Midoriya family, Class 1B and their family, Melissa and her father, the Yaoi Rozu family and the Jiru family. He found out some truths. Izuku discovered that he was never a Yagi at all, he was actually a Midoriya, but Toshinori took Izuku from them as payback for Inko refusing to leave Hisashi, as Toshinori uses Izuku as his stress relief. Also, the reason why Izuku knew the League didn't frame him, because he has been secretly friends and ally with them as some of the League like Tamura, Dabi, Himiko and even Afo were related somehow. Tamura was related to Izuku through his mother, Inko Midoriya, as Inko was the daughter of Hana Shimura, the grandmother of both Tamura and Izuku, as they were actually cousins or something. Izuku knew that Dabi was Tuiya Todoroki, the eldest son of the Todoroki family, while Himiko was actually a Bakugo as Himiko was Katsuki's and Katsumi's older sister, but both of them were accepted and become honorary Midoriyas. But the biggest surprise was that Ifo, the symbol of fear himself, was Frank Yagi, the first ever Yagi, during the golden age of Quirks as Frank has been living through his quirk, basically reincarnating himself. Anyway, as Izuku continued to look up at the ceiling, thinking about revenge against those who has truly wronged him as he wanted them all to suffer, a slow and painful suffering unlike any before. If that's your wish, my master. Izuku? Huh? Just then, Izuku started to glow as a large puff of smoke appeared and began to take form of a beautiful green-skinned woman with long black hair, beautiful red eyes and a very impressive rack. Izuku, GIF. Greetings, my master. I am Desiree. Your personal genie. Or, you could call me a Djinn. Izuku? You're a genie? But how? Desiree. I have become a part of you. I guess you could say, I have become what you known as a quirk. Izuku. So, basically, my quirk has become something like Genie's lamp. Desiree. Something like that, yes. But unlike the lamps, I can appear whenever I want. Izuku. I see. And I guess, as a genie, you have some kinder rules and regulation. Desiree. No. Actually, I do. But I know what you're talking about. You're referring to the 3-wish rule. Correct? Izuku? Yes. I am. And you're saying you don't have those restrictions? Desiree? No. You see, as a female genie, we are allowed to make unlimited wishes, with no limitations or restraints to hold us back. Or in this case, you as my master. Izuku? And you would be okay with this? Granting any wish I want? Desiree? Depending on the wishes themselves. Izuku? Very well. Desiree. Well then, master. What is your wish? Izuku. Firstly, I need to get out of here. But I know that HPSC Hag will stop at nothing to keep me here. And so, I wish for the currently HPSC president of the Japan branch to be fired from her position and replaced with someone who will not be corrupt and do the right thing. Desiree. Your wish has been granted. Izuku. Okay then. I wish for my body to be able to handle multiple quirks. Desiree. Your wish has been granted. Izuku. I know. I wish for a strong and powerful quirk. A quirk that is not stolen and erased from me. A quirk that can rival the power of Ofa and Afo. A quirk with little to no drawbacks. Desiree. Your wish has been granted. At that moment, Izuku could feel his new quirk emerging within him as he started to receive information about his new quirk. Ultimate Login System. It is a system that'll reward Izuku daily with anything from across the multiverse with a gamer-like system. Desiree. Any more wishes? Izuku. You know what? Yes. I wish for the current user of OFA would lose 90% of their strength. Desiree. Very well. Your wish has been granted. Izuku. I wish that all of my true friends, family and allies are protected by the earth against those who has ill intentions. Desiree. Of course, master. Your wish has been granted. Izuku. I'll summon you when I need you again, Desiree. Desiree. I'll be waiting, master. Desiree then vanished within a puff of smoke as Izuku smirked. After all these years of pain and suffering for being quirkless, he has been rewarded with his own personal genie as he would begin to plot out his revenge. Chapter 1. Japan's Changing Tides. No one Pav. At the HPSC HQ, Madam President was sitting in her office, watching the screen as it was displaying the performance of Class A. Since they have graduated and become official heroes, she was angry that they couldn't turn the others against Izuku Midoriya, but she could care less about them. MP. They are a lost cause. If they won't turn on that brat, then maybe they shouldn't be heroes at all. Suddenly, her door was busted open, startling the Madam President as she quickly gets up just as fully armed soldiers stormed her office and aimed their weapons at her, as she was utterly shocked and angry that these soldiers stormed her office. MP. What's the meaning of this? Hello there, Madam President of the HPSC Japan branch. MP. And who are you? Iko. I am Yiko Minagasaki, commander of the Anti-Crusade Special Task Force. And why we are here is simple. Iko then nods as two of her troopers walked over towards the Madam President and pinned her down onto her own desk before cuffing her wrists behind her back. MP. What are you doing? Iko. You are under arrest. MP. For what? Iko. High treason against mankind. MP. You have no proof. Iko. Oh, we do. We know about Operation Crusade. MP. Shock. How did you get that? That's highly classified. Iko. You forget, the world government overrules the authority of the HPSC. Once we got our hands on that file, this task force was created and sent to deal with you, starting with you. MP. You cannot do this to me. I am the president over all heroes in Japan. Iko. Not anymore. Someone else, who has been hand-picked by the world government, shall replace you. And until your traitorous crusaders are dealt with, the world government is putting all of Japan under martial law. MP. No. Iko. Take her away. UA. At UA, Nezu along with his fellow UA staff, except Almight and Lady Night-Eye, has been called in, as there was a special meeting taking place at the request of the world government. Izawa. Alright Nezu. We're here. Izashi. Why did you call us all here? Nezu. I have been requested to all you all here on the request of the world government. They wish to speak with us. Namuri. Why would they wish to speak with us? RGE. Did something happen? Something is happening. The changing tide of Japan. Nezu and the UA staff then turned around towards the door to see someone has entered inside of the office as Nezu stood up from his seat and got into Izawa's shoulder. Nezu. I brought them here on your orders. Thank you for doing this, Principal Nezu. Izawa. And who are you? Who am I? I am Eren Yeager. Cut. Take 2. Izawa. And who are you? Alias. I am Gallius Rax. I am a representative of the world government. I am here to inform you that I am stepping in as the new president of the HPSC Japan branch. Izashi. Wait. You mean, the Madam President has been removed? Alias. Yes. That correct. We know about Operation Crusade. Namuri. Then, you're here to arrest us? Alias. No. I'm not. We know all the heroes involved and those who aren't involved. And we know that you and a handful of heroes who aren't. We are also aware that newly graduated Class B aren't a part of the crusade, but Class A are, except for 2. RGE. Then, besides, informing us of your position, why else are you here? Alias. To inform you that, until all heroes who are involved with this crusade are dealt with, Japan will be put under governmental martial law. Nezu. We understand, Mr. President. However, we do have a request. Alias. What is it? Izawa. There is someone who has been falsely imprisoned for treason against society. Someone who is very important to us and our allies as well. Alias. Who is this person in question? Izashi. His name is Izuku Midoriya. Alias. I'll see what I can do. Tartarus. Inside Tartarus prison, Izuku was seen being escorted towards the meeting area as he arrived. He was very much surprised to see a man in uniform, wanting to meet with him as he sat down. Gallius. Greetings, Mr. Midoriya. I am Gallius Rax. I am the new president of the HPSC Japan branch. Izuku. A pleasure to meet you, President Rax. What do I owe the pleasure? Gallius. I've been asked to help get you freed from this prison. I looked at your case file and it claims that you've committed treason against Hero Society. Izuku. I was falsely accused of aiding the League of Villains, even though I never helped them. Although, I am somewhat friends with the League in a way. Gallius. Well, from what it says that you've been giving them information. Care to explain your side of the story? Izuku. They claimed that I have been giving the League information from my own journals. Which isn't information from UA or anything from the Heroes database, they are information that I created. You see, I am Quirkless and I usually use my journals to write my own analysis on heroes. The thing is, there is no way the League would have known about those journals. Gallius. Interesting. And who would have known about these journals? Izuku. My friends, family and allies who stuck by my side. But unfortunately, the Yagis in Class A would have known about them too. Gallius. You're saying the Yagis in Class A are the reason why you were imprisoned? Izuku. Yes. They are. And they were supported by the former Madam President. They all hated me for being quirkless, but Toshinori Yagi hated me more than that. Gallius. Toshinori Yagi. You mean, Almight. Correct. Izuku. Yes, sir. That correct. Gallius. Please, explain. Izuku. When I was imprisoned, I found out that I was never an actual Yagi, but a Midoriya. The son of Hisashi and Inko Midoriya. From what I was told, Toshinori tried to get Inko to leave Hisashi to be with him, but she refused. And to make them suffer, he kidnapped me and made me suffer to make them suffer with the HPSC covering him and ensuring that the Midoriya couldn't do anything but watch my suffering. Gallius. Oh my. That's so cruel and heartless. To think that the former symbol of peace is so evil. Who else know? Izuku. I'm sure that his wife, his kids and probably even Class A knew. Gallius. I see. Well, rest assured, Mr. Midoriya, I will get you freed and cleared of all charges against you. Izuku. Smile. Thank you President Rax. Biostatus. Name. Izuku, Midoriya formerly, Yagi. Age. 20. Loves. The Midoriya family, true heroes, world government, justice, peace, Momo, Jiro. Hates. The Yagi family, former HPSC president, corruption, chaos, his past. Quirk. Ultimate login system or ULS for short. Others. OFA 2.0. Weapons creation. Healing. Resurrection. Voice command. Creation. Destruction. LFLAME stronger than Endeavor. INTELLIGENCE high, IG the Nezu. Adaption. Genie. Desiree. Harem. Momo, Kyoka and Desiree. Chapter 2. Release of Izuku Midoriya. No one Pav. It's been 2 days since the world government has sent their task force and some of their forces into Japan. The Madam President has been arrested of high treason and replaced with Gallius Rax, the new president of the HPSC Japan branch, as they began to crack down on all heroes who are involved with Operation Crusade as many heroes were rounded up and imprisoned, while others were able to get into hiding from being captured and imprisoned, including the likes of Class A. Who has become the prime targets of the world government task force. Toshinori Yagi, along with his wife, Tori Yagi and their children, Hana Yagi and Stan Yagi, were forced into hiding after the task force invaded their home in their attempt to arrest them, but they were able to escape and reunite with their corrupted allies as they learned that they have lost more of their allies due to the world government task force. They were fuming with rage and anger as they planned their move against the task force and those who opposed them. Meanwhile, Nezu and his allies, who weren't a part of Operation Crusade, were cleared of all suspensions and aiding the task force with any information that they could provide against the corrupt hero crusaders, as well as provide information directly to HPSC President Gallius to prove that Izuku Midoriya was truly innocent and framed for treason, as they provided with their personal information about him. President Gallius reached out to the Midoriya family, who has answered the call immediately, as they have provided with everything they knew about what Toshinori and the HPSC has done to them, as well as their son, as Gallius was getting plenty of information that'll prove the innocence of Izuku Midoriya, but he then had a surprise visit from the Lav, who surrendered to him. The Lav were all taken and interrogated, each of them providing information to prove that Izuku Midoriya wasn't one of them, and he was truly innocent. As once everything was gathered, Gallius sent it up to World Government High Command, as it was a no-brainer for them, and the vote was unanimous. Tartarus. Within Tartarus, Izuku was seen being escorted as he was now wearing normal clothes instead of his prison uniform, as he has just been cleared of all charges of treason and freed from Tartarus as he was taken outside, where his true friends, family and allies were waiting for him, as Inko cries tears of joy as she runs up and hugs him tightly as he hugs her back. I and Ko cry. My baby boy. Izuku. I'm here, mom. I'm here now. Hisashi. It's good to see you freed. Izuku. It sure is. Izawa. After 4 long years of imprisonment. Izuku. Yeah. I agree, uncle. Hisashi. Come on. Let's return to UA. We can catch up there. Izuku. Agreed. The group then gets into different cars that they came in as Izuku gets into the back seat of the Midoriya's black Chevrolet Suburban SUVs as his sister, Izumi Midoriya, was laying her head against his thigh as he smiles before rubbing his hands against her hair as a few minutes later they arrived back at UA as they walked inside of the building and went into one of the large meeting rooms. Izuku. So. What's been happening so far? Namuri. The world government has put Japan under martial law. They are searching for all heroes who are involved with Operation Crusade. Izawa. Out of the 10,000 heroes that were recruited into this crusade, only 5,000 remains, including Class A, Almight and Lady Night-Eye. Nezu. President Gallius has been looking into everything the former president has done, and there are 2 people who was released and joined the world government task force. Izuku. Really? Who? That'll be us, kid. Everyone then turned around towards the door to see 2 people entered inside of the office, as Izuku was very surprised to see them again. Izuku shock. Stain. Lady Nagant. Stain, yes kid. Lane. It's been a while. Hisashi. You were both released. Stain. Yep. President Gallius made a deal with me. I would get the chance to kill false heroes, especially All Might and Lady Night-Eye. Inko. You don't believe in him anymore. Stain. After knowing everything he has done to Midoriya for simply being quirkless, not anymore. Lane. They recruited me because of my past. They know that it was the former president's fault for what happened to me and giving me a second chance. Hisashi. What is President Gallius doing now? Stain. He's trying to locate the crusaders. He already seized all of Toshinori and Tori's assets, being Might Tower and Tori's agency. Izuku. But they have some rich allies on their side like Shoto and Tenya. Nezu. Actually, Shoto and Shuka were cut off from the rest of the Todoroki family after you were arrested. Izawa. The same could be said about Tenya, he also was cut off from the Iida family because of what happened. Hisashi. But these crusaders are still a risk we cannot ignore. With Toshinori with them, they could recruit more of their side. Izuku. Well. We do have one advantage against them. Inko. And what is it, honey? Izuku. You can come out now, Desiree. Hisashi and Nezu's eyes widened in utter shock at the name as Izuku started glowing as a puff of smoke appeared before them as Desiree formed, shocking everyone in the room. Desiree. Hello Hisashi, Nezu. It's been a long time. Hisashi. Desiree. Nezu. It sure has been a while. Izumi. Why you're a genie? Desiree. Indeed, I am. I am Izuku's personal genie. Izawa. Izuku. Have you been granting wishes? Izuku. Just a few. I used a couple of wishes on myself as well as all of you. I am also the reason why the world government in here, even though I never expected this. Hisashi. Wait, then what exactly did you wish for? Desiree. He wished for the former Madam President to be fired and to be replaced with someone who wouldn't be corrupt and does what's right. Namuri. You made a good wish, Izu. Izuku. Thanks. Although, I am concerned at what Toshinori and his allies are planning. Desiree. Agreed. From what I've seen and heard, anything they do will not be good for anyone who opposes them. Chapter 3. The Aftermath, the Reunion. No one Pav. Within a cave, the Crusaders' leadership were gathered around to speak of their move against the world government as Toshinori was fuming with anger and rage. He has lost all of his assets, even Might Tower. He knows that most of his allies has lost their assets as well because of the world government crackdown, as he also lost half of his fellow Crusaders to the world government, but what enraged him even more is that Izuku Midoriya was cleared from the false crimes of treason and released from Tartarus prison, as he could only assume that the brat will join the world government crackdown on his Crusaders. Poshinori growls. This is not good. Everything we worked on, all of it is ruined. Tori. I agree with you, honey. All of progress we have made has been severely reduced. Hana. We have lost our authority as heroes and now hunted down by the task force. Stan. And to make matters worse, that worthless Deku has been cleared and released from prison. Toshinori. I have no doubt that brat will aid the world government against us. Tori. I did get a report that he wasn't the only one, but the hero killer and the heroine traitor were released as well. Ida. Stain has been released. Uraraka. Lady Nagant was released too. Tashinori. Yes. But I could assume that they have joined the task force too. Itsuki. This cannot be happening to us. Shoto. We were at the top. And now, we are being hunted. Hiroshima. I bet it's that Deku's fault. Enki. Yeah. It has to be him. Tori. We are unsure. But it's very possible. We need more time to discover more. Mina. Then, what should we do? Tashinori. First off, we need a better place to reside. I have no intention of staying in this cave. Sui. Agreed. I don't feel so good while being in this cave. I feel like I'm gonna vomit. Fumikage. Well. Don't vomit onto me. Sui. I won't. UA. At UA, Izuku was seen training with his new powers as he hasn't trained in the past 3 days since acquiring the ultimate login system, as he currently has 2 powers at his disposal. The first one is weapons creation, the ability to create any weapon that he desires, and the second one is OFA 2.0, which is an evolved version of OFA. But doubled in power as he was fighting off a couple of 0 points with OFA engaged at 15% with a single-edged sword in his hand as he sliced down the last remaining 0-pointers. Izuku pants. Damn. That's alright. Izuku puts his Kratos back inside of his inventory before grabbing a towel and started to wipe off his sweat as he was beginning to leave before stopping and smiles a bit. Izuku. Like what you've seen. Momo-chan. Kyoka-chan. Izuku then turned to face the alleyway as he could see 2 girls emerging from it as it was none other than Momoyoi Rozu and Kyokajiro. As both girls were stepping out of the alleyway, they were both blushing in embarrassment that Izuku has caught them watching him train. Hey yoka blush. How did you know? Izuku. When you have a system ability like mine, you tend to know who around. Momo blush. You knew we were watching from the start. Izuku. No. Only halfway. I noticed when I was fighting the pointer robots. Kyoka. Baka. Izuku. I'm glad that you're both still as beautiful as ever. Both blush. Baka. Don't say something like that. It's embarrassing. Izuku smile. I can't help what I think or say. And everything I say is very truth. You both are still beautiful. Momo and Kyoka just continues to blush in embarrassment due to Izuku's compliments to them. They were internally happy that their beloved is freed and cleared from treason. Izuku. So. I gonna ask. What happened to the both of you? Clearly you're not a part of Class A. Momo. Of course we're not. We stopped being their allies after you were arrested. Kyoka. We couldn't trust them after that. And it didn't help that Shoto and Denki tried to get with us. Momo. With the help of Nezu, we were transferred out of Class A and put into the support course. Kyoka. Of course, Class A didn't like and tried to get us back, but they constantly failed. Momo. By the time our second year began, Class A stopped their pursuit of us, calling us a lost cause. Kyoka. I even overheard that Shoto and Iida have lost their respected family support and trust. Izuku. I actually heard that as well. I'm just glad that you and your families aren't a part of their crusade. Momo. They did try. After we graduated, they tried to recruit us into the crusade, but we refused. Kyoka. But we are still concerned that Tashinori and his crusaders will become a problem for Japan. Izuku. Don't worry. President Gallius is working tirelessly to end the crusaders. Task Force Base. At the Task Force Base, the former League of Villains were training under the supervision of the Task Force agents. They were happy to hear that Izuku Midoriya has been released from prison and all charges against him were cleared. However, they were now concerned about Tashinori and his remaining crusaders, as despite their numbers were severely reduced to 5,000 members, they were all still pretty strong, especially Class A, led by Hanayagi. Alias. Are you alright, Afo? You seem pretty concerned. Afo? That's because I am. I am concerned about Tashinori and his remaining crusaders. Currently, his crusaders are still strong with their 5k members. And that includes Class A with them. Alias. I agree. You are right to be concerned. Despite reducing their numbers, they are still strong. Especially with Hanayagi having OFA. But lucky for us, we have one as well. Afo? What do you mean? Alias. Nezu has been informing me the progress of Class B and Midoriya. He has told me about his login system abilities and the powers he has gained. Among them is his own OFA. Afo? He has OFA too. Alias. From what Nezu told me, yes, he does. But is it stronger? Because instead of a copy of OFA, his OFA is a second generation. Meaning, his OFA is doubled in strength than the original. Afo? That is amazing. That boy will become a fine asset against Toshinori and his crusaders. Alias. Agreed. But that's why I want to train your league to the best of their abilities. With your AFO quirk inside of Tamura's body, both he and Midoriya might be our only chance to defeat Hanayagi. AFO? I see your reason. With my quirks in Tamura and Midoriya's OFA and his powers, the crusaders will have a difficult time on their lives. Alias. Right now, we are keeping Midoriya's powers a secret as much as possible. We cannot risk the crusaders to discover his powers and his OFA, who know what they'll do if they find out. AFO? True. Alias. What is it? AFO? Well nah. It's not important. Alias. It seems important to you. Say your mind. AFO? You said he has a login system, right? A system that basically give him random stuff daily. Alias. Yeah. That basically the gist of it. Why? AFO? Then maybe he could do something that'll truly tip the scale in our favor. Alias. Like what? AFO? Like reviving legends. Chapter 4. The revival of past OFA users. No one POV. It has been a week since Izuku Midoriya has been released from Tartarus and has been training tirelessly to gain stronger in the fight against the Crusaders, who still had a pretty strong force of 5,000 members, including Class A, as he has gained 7 days worth of rewards, as some of them weren't really that useful in combat, but they could be useful for the task force. But the thing that Izuku had that seems the most useful was a new power called Revival. The special ability to revival anyone as it seems to now have any drawbacks or nasty side effects as it become a part of a list of powers in his arsenal. What he never expected is that his new revival power would gain the attention of President Gallius as he has come to UA with AFO and the rest of the former league as they wishes to speak with Izuku about his new ability. Gallius. So Midoriya, you have gained a pretty new ability. Izuku, yes President Gallius. This revival ability is rare, unique, and powerful too. Gallius. From what I have been informed, your revival ability has no drawbacks or nasty side effects. Is that correct? Izuku? Yes, sir. It is. Which mean, I wouldn't end up reviving others and accidentally turn them into zombies or deformed creatures. AFO? Then, your new ability will become especially useful for what we have planned. Izuku? I'm not following. Alias? Well. Over the past week, we have been watching and monitoring your progress with your powers. AFO here has produced a pretty decent plan, which involves your revival ability. Izuku? And that is? AFO? To revive legends that I have murdered in the past. Alias? Or to be more exact, we plan to revive the past users of OFA. Izuku? That wouldn't work. In order to use my revival, I need something of the ones I want to revive. AFO? That's why I brought myself and Tamura. Since both AFO and OFA are connected. Izuku? You mean, you want to use your quirks to connect with OFA and revive the past OFA users? AFO? Yes. That's why I am planning. If you are up to the task, it's up to you. Izuku? Actually, AFO, may I speak with you, alone? AFO? Of course. President Gallius. Gallius nodded before leaving with the league as Izuku and AFO goes into a private room where they could speak alone and talk more about OFA. Izuku? You know, don't you? AFO? Izuku. You know that I don't just have my login system and my system powers. You could feel it through your AFO just from being near me. AFO? Yes. I have. I felt her presence within you. And honestly, I am glad that you are her master. Izuku? Then, you can come out, Desiree. And just like that, Izuku started to glow as a puff of smoke appeared between them as Desiree and turned to face AFO as she smiles at him. Desiree. Oh, all for one. It's good to see you again. AFO, thank you Desiree. And please, use my actual name. Desiree. Understood, Mr. Frank Yagi. Izuku. Desiree. Is it possible to revive the past OFA users through AFO itself? Desiree. It is possible. But we don't know the complications between OFA and AFO. Although, I have a better solution. Frank. What is it? Desiree. Master. You could wish the past OFA users into AFO. That way, you'll be able to safely revive the past OFA without confronting the current OFA users. Izuku. Mr. Yagi. Frank. Please, just call me Frank. And honestly, I like that idea better. But it might tip off the current user. Izuku. I'll need to be careful with this wish then. Desiree. Desiree, yes master. Izuku. I wish for the past users of One for All to be transferred into AFO without alerting the current user of OFA. Desiree. Your wish has been granted. Frank. Let's find Tamura. I'm sure he's feeling quite weird. Izuku. Agreed. Desiree, you can stay out if you like. ESIRE, smile, thank you master. Frank, Izuku and Desiree started to make their way towards where Tamura and the rest of the former league were, as they found them as Tamura seems to be panicking as he rushed over towards Frank. Tamura. Master. Something happening. I feel something inside me. Frank. Easy Tamura. It's alright. What you felt is the past users of OFA inside of your AFO quirk. Tamura. What? But why? Izuku. We are planning to revive them though your quirk. Just take it easy. Alright. Tamura. Oh okay. Okay. I'm coming down. Frank. Midoriya. Grab Tamura's shoulder. Use your OFA to connect with Tamura. Izuku nodded as he stood beside Tamura and grabbed his shoulder while Frank stood on the other side of Tamura as the two used their quirks to connect with Tamura's AFO, as Izuku now finds himself within a vestige realm with Tamura and Frank as across from them were the past users of OFA. Side note. Obviously not Toshinori. Yoichi. Brother. Frank. Yeah, brother. Kudo. What are you doing here? Bruce. Where is here anyway? Frank. You're not in the OFA vestige. You're inside the vestige of Tamura's AFO. Or I guess there's no point in hiding it, the vestige of Tenko Shimura. Nana. Grandson. Tamura. Hey grandmother. Aikage. So. Why did you bring us here? Frank. You already know why. Igoro. Against Toshinori Yagi and his crusaders. N. Luckily, his brat daughter, Hana, doesn't have total access. Izuku. But they are still a great risk. Nana. You must be Izuku Midoriya. The one that Toshinori framed. Izuku. Yes. And all because my mother refused to be with him. Nana. There is something else. You see, both you and Tenko are my grandsons because Inko and Tenko's father are my kids. Izuku. So that's why Toshinori was obsessed with my mother. She does look a lot like you. Nana. Thank you. Tenko. Wait. Then, that means, we're cousins. Izuku. I actually like that a lot. Yoichi. So. What is your plan, brother? Frank. To have Midoriya here revive all of you. Kudo. Revive us. Izuku. Yes. I have a revive ability that'll be able to revive you back into the land of the living. Bruce. But why are you help, AFO? Why help revive us? Frank. Because you deserve to have better lives. I have been blinded by my thirst for OFA. Plus, I am sure that you don't want to be stuck in an unworthy brat like Hanayagi. Aikage. You got that right. Igoro. She is truly unworthy. N. And you, Midoriya, correct? Izuku. Yes, sir. Nana. You have OFA too. That how you came here? Izuku. Yes. I do. I have a second generation OFA. Stronger than Hana's. Yoichi. Then, we have a better offer. Izuku. What is it? Kudo. We can transfer our quirks into you too. Izuku. What? Bruce. I agree. That why, you and Tenko would have an advantage over Hana. Aikage. Plus, we can feel your sense of justice and your desire to end the crusaders. Igoro. I agree with them kid. 1. Same here. Frank. So basically, you want to be revived while your quirks remain in Tenko and Izuku. Nana. Yes. That's why we want. We want our quirks to still be useful. Even if it means becoming quirkless. That won't be necessary. Everyone then turned and see as Desiree appeared within the vestige realm as the past users were confused by her arrival as well as Tenko, except for Frank and Izuku, but also curious about what she meant. Yoichi. Who are you? Desiree. I am Desiree. The personal genie of Master Izuku Midoriya. Kudo. And the genius. Izuku. Yes. It was thanks to her, everything that's been happening. Even bringing you here within the vestige of Tenko. Bruce. You said that I wouldn't be necessary to give up our quirks. Desiree. Yes. It is because, with my master's permission, I can recreate your quirks into both Tenko's AFO and Izuku's OFA. With that, you can still keep your quirks and return to live with them. Aikage. Honestly, I like that plan. Igoro. Agreed. That why I joined the fight against the crusaders. N. Agreed. We may seem weak, but our quirks will still be useful. Frank. So. You agree to this plan? Past users. Yes, we do. Desiree. Master. Izuku. Let's do it. And with that, Izuku made the wish as the quirks of the past OFA users were copies and put into Izuku and Tenko quirks, adding additional quirks to their arsenal, as Izuku then activated his revival ability as the past users were revived and brought back into the land of the living. Chapter 5. Mother and Daughter Reunion. No one Pav. After reviving the past users of OFA, they met President Gallius of the HPSC Japan branch as they were coming up to speed with the current things in Japan. As the past users agreed to join the fight against the Crusaders, Izuku takes Nana away once the meeting was over as he wanted to surprise his mother as the two talk with each other. Getting to know each other as Nana would become disgusted at how far her former successor has fallen and corrupted to his crusaders, as she was more determined to take down the crusaders and end the traitorous Toshinori for good, as they have found Inko training Class 1B. As they were walking up behind Inko, Class B noticed Izuku, and their eye widened at the sight of Nana, but Izuku signaled them to be quiet as they know what he was gonna do. Izuku. Hey mom. Inko. Oh hey sweet Eddie. Inko then turned around to face, but when she did, her heart skipped a beat as her eyes widened in utter shock and disbelief. She covered her mouth with her trembling hands as tears ran down her face. Inko. Mom. Nana. Hey, my daughter. Nana approached Inko with her arms extended as Inko slowly walked toward her formerly deceased mother before running at full speed and leaps into her mother's arms as Nana hugs her back as Inko crying tears of joy. Inko. But how? How could you be alive? Nana. You could thank your son for that. Inko then looked in Izuku's direction as she could see the warm smile on his face as she realized that her son has revived her mother for her as she stopped hugging her mother before going to Izuku and hugs him tightly. Inko. Thank you, sweetie. For reviving my mother. Izuku. Of course, mom. You deserve it. Inko then lets go of Izuku as she turned her attention back towards Nana as Izuku walked off in the direction of Class B as they were incredibly surprised that Izuku has revived his mother's mother and happy for her. Tetsu. Wow, Midoriya. You really revived your mom's mother? Izuku. Yep. But she not the only one. I actually revived the past users of OFA. They'll be joining the task force against the Crusaders. Satsuna. That's amazing. Pony. Yeah. Hirota. You're truly awesome. Izuku. Thanks. By the way, how's your training? Ibara. Pretty well. We gotta thank your mother for training us. Kiryu. Agreed. Thanks to her, we are confident to at least take the down grunts of the Crusaders. Izuku. You're all still concerned about facing Class A? Kendo. Of course we do. I mean, Class A still have a lot of experience from facing the former League of Villains. And they still have some strong members of the group. Nito. The main concerns are the Bakugo twins, the Todoroki twins and the Yagi twins. Izuku. The leaders of Class A. Yui. Yeah. They are the biggest threat to us if we confront and or fight them. Izuku. But with me here, knowing their arrogance and aggression, they'll focus on me. Isetsu. Midoriya. You're not saying you'll sacrifice yourself. Are you? Izuku. No. I'm not. I have no plan to surrender them. But I know that I'll be their prime target. Bigeru. And it might get even worse when they discover that you have powers. Izuku. True. They'll try to demand me to answer them and they'll without a doubt try to force me to give them up. Which will never happen. Yuzo. So, currently, the element of surprise is on our side. As long as they don't know about your powers, we'll have a chance to giving them a surprise attack. Izuku. True that. But I am concerned that they might know sooner rather than later. Especially if they do something very seriously dumb. Shie. True that. But let's instead focus on what we can do, focus on our training, and get stronger. Izuku. Agreed. Because by the time the Crusaders. Class B. We'll be ready to face them. Crusaders base. At the Crusaders base, which was a hidden base on the mountainside as the Crusaders were making it their home as they were forced out of their former hiding spot after one of their members were caught and forced to give up the Crusaders' location, as many of their members were lucky enough to escape, but 500 of their members were caught and arrested. Meanwhile, the Crusaders' leadership were still trying to produce a plan against the World Government Task Force and ultimately, against Izuku Midoriya, as they all believed that what's been happening to him was because of him, even though they didn't have any proof to prove it. What's truly troubles the leadership is that they learned that the League of Villains, including Afo himself, has surrendered to the task force and joined in on the hunt for the Crusaders. They would even leader that the former pro-heroine, Lady Nagant and the former hero killer Stain, joined too. Along the leadership, Shoto was still pretty angry and pissed that his love, Momoyaoi Rozu, refused to love him, as after Izuku was arrested, he tried to hit on her, but she kept on refusing to accept him, and it even gotten worse when she along with Kyoka Jiro, left Class A for the support course. After graduation, they still tried to sway Momo and Kyoka to return to their group and join the Crusaders, but they still flat out refused to join them, and now, he knew that it would be nearly impossible with Izuku free, cleared and now at UA, he was furious at Izuku and wants to make him pay. SHOTO mind. Just you wait, you quirkless bastard. You'll know your place, and Momo-chan will finally be mine. Chapter 6. Deku vs Isahit discover plans. No one Pav. It has been 2 weeks since Nana and Inko has been reunited with each other. They had a lot to talk about and catch up as mother and daughter, as Inko would explain how loyal and faithful her husband, Hisashi, was, as she didn't have any regrets in marrying him as she loves him for who he was, and then, she would explain the few encounters with Toshinori, as Nana would truly be disgusted with Toshinori, how he has become arrogant and corrupt due to being All Might. The number one hero, as she felt that she has made a mistake in entrusting Ofa to him, and what truly disgusted her is that Toshinori actually tried to seduce Inko, but when she refused over and over again, he gave up but wanted her and Hisashi to suffer, and so, when Izuku and Izumi was born, he kidnapped Izuku, and with the help of the former HPSC president, they could do nothing but basically watch Izuku suffer for years, till he was arrested and imprisoned in Tartarus prison. And lucky for Inko and Hisashi, they were able to meet Izuku in prison and give him his birth last name. Ana mind. Toshinori. You better be ready. Because you're gonna pay for what you done to this family. Meanwhile, Izuku would continue to train with his powers alongside Class B, as well as the former league, as they were all training for any attacks made by the Crusaders as Tenko, who accepted his true name, was training with Izuku and the past users of Ofa, as they were slowly unlocking their quirks, as Tenko unlocked Danger Sense and Smokescreen, while Izuku unlocked Black Whip and Float, and during their free time, they would hang out with the league and Class B. As Izuku noticed that Tenko would sometimes hang out with the pro hero. Mirko and even gets fluttered around her, as it was pretty clear to Izuku that his cousin had a crush, but that wasn't the only thing he noticed. It was pretty clear to everyone besides Izuku that there was clearly something between Tuiadabi and Hawks, but the one thing that Izuku would notice is how Himiko Toga would act around his sister, Izumi, as Himiko would be happier around Izumi than anyone else, and there were moments where Izuku would catch Himiko fluttered towards and around Izumi, as it was clear to him that Himiko has a crush on his sister, and he didn't mind it. Right now, Izuku was walking around, minding his own business till he suddenly sensed something and jumped out of the way, just as a stream of flames went past him, as he quickly gets up and recovered before looking to see Shoto Todoroki, as he had his left arm extended. Shoto. There you are, Deku. Izuku. You're an idiot to come alone, Shoto. Shoto. I don't need anyone to deal with a quirkless bastard like you. Izuku. TCH. Still the little quirkist rant. What a waste. Shoto. Shut the buck up, bastard. I will put you in your place. And Momo will come back to our side. Shoto then unleashed his quirk, as flames and ice were sent at Izuku, as Izuku channeled Ofa into his arm and sends an Air Force punch, which cancelled out Shoto's attack before he was hit in the chest, sending Shoto flying back and onto his ass. Shoto. I am possible. Why you have a quirk? You're quirkless. Izuku. Not anymore, little Shoto. Shoto. Damn you. Shoto recovered and used his ice to blitz Izuku, hoping to eat him off guard, but instead, Izuku appeared directly in front of Shoto, and before he could react, Izuku punched Shoto in the face, sending him flying into an alleyway. Shoto gets back up as Izuku started to approach him, as Shoto started firing fireballs at him, but Izuku would continue to dodge the attacks while getting closer and closer to Shoto, as Shoto was getting fire of this. Shoto. You bastard. Shoto then created an ice blade as he charged directly at Izuku as he swung in for the strike, and suddenly, a shockwave erupted from Izuku's body, shattering Shoto's ice blade and sending him flying back as Izuku moved closer. Shoto tried to use his quirk again, but it was becoming difficult because of Izuku's shockwaves, as his flames were being pushed in the opposite direction, while his ice was being shattered faster and unable to do anything. Izuku got in Shoto's face and grabbed his throat before Izuku summoned an injector into his hand before the injector was inserted into Shoto's neck, as suddenly, Shoto couldn't feel his quirks at all as Izuku dropped him. Shoto. What did you do? Izuku. I injected you with a secret formula that not only destroy your quirk but your quirk factor as well. Shoto. And no. And with that, Izuku grabbed Shoto by the face before slamming him into the ground, knocking the Crusader boy unconscious before wrapping him in Black Whip as Izuku carried Shoto back to UA, unaware that he was being watched by Toru Hagakure, who followed Shoto and saw everything. Are you mind? That Deku has a quirk now. And he defeated Shoto with little effort. This is bad. I need to inform Mr. Yagi. I'm Skip. At the HPSC detention center, Shoto was being held within one of the room, which has been reinforced with anti-quirk metal, as even wearing some quirk-cancelling braces. Even though Izuku told them that Shoto didn't have his quirk anymore, they couldn't take any chances as they know that Shoto Todoroki is third in command of Class A, with Kitsuki Bakugo as second in command, and obviously, Hana Yagi as the leader of Class A. Meanwhile, Izuku was in Gallia's office as they were discussing what they should do with Shoto. As well, they know that he would have vital information on the Crusaders, but they also know that he won't speak to any of them, especially Izuku, as Izuku then came up with the idea that might work, as he calls Nezu. Hour later. Inside the detention room, Shoto was sitting in the chair as his arms were restrained to the desk in front of him. He knows that he was going to be interrogated, but he wasn't going to break or rat out the Crusaders, as thanks to Toshinori, most of Class A were trained to how to survive and not break within interrogations. As he heard the door open up, and he looked, only for his eyes to widen when he sees his love enter the room. Shoto. Momo. Momo, hello Shoto. Let's begin. Shoto. Momo. You have to rescue me. These traitors. Momo, no Shoto. You're the traitor here. You betrayed all of us for your selfish desires. Shoto. No. I'm only doing what's best for us all. That Deku. Momo. Never call him by that again, Shoto. At least he doesn't try to force me to do anything I don't like. Unlike you and your crusaders. Shoto. The crusaders will bring true peace, order and justice to Japan. And soon, the world at large. Momo. What you speak isn't peace, order or justice. It is straight up oppression and cruelty. I would never join something as evil as that. Shoto. The Crusaders are not evil. You just don't understand. This nation needs us, they need strong heroes like us. Momo. Just because you had a strong quirk doesn't make you something above everyone else. What kind of hero you think you are? Shoto. A hero that this nation desperately needs from their weak and incompetent leadership. Almight will ensure of that. Momo. Almight cannot do anything anymore. After all, his body is too weak and cannot fight anymore. Especially after what All for One did. Shoto. That'll all change soon enough. Momo. What the hell that's supposed to mean? Shoto. If you join us, then I'll tell you. Momo. You know what? I'm sick of your quirkist ass. Momo approached Shoto and grabbed him by the head before slamming it down hard on the table, making Shoto scream and groan in pain as she grabbed him by the hair and forced him to look up at her as she was looking at him in disgust. Momo. If you won't tell me willing, then I have no other choice. While glaring directly in Shoto's eyes, Momo extends her hand as something began to appear into her hand. As Shoto glanced over to her hand to see something small appeared as it looks like a microchip. Shoto. What is that? Momo. Oh, this little microchip. Oh, it's nothing special. Other than it turns you into our obedient subject. Shoto's eyes widened in shock and fear as it was clear across his face as he looked directly back at Momo, who was smirking due to seeing the fear on Shoto's face as she looked at the microchip. Momo. Izuku was the one to help me. Ever since I joined the support course, I have been using it to create items. Using my quirk to make the necessary resources to create many support items. This microchip was a special case. Basically, if I were to put this chip onto your neck, you'll follow any command we give you and won't be able to stop yourself from doing it at all. So, basically speaking, you'll become our little obedient slave who'll help us against the Crusaders. Shoto terrified. And no. You can't do this to me. Don't do this, Momo. Momo. Oh, but I can. I sure can do this to you. Especially after all of the pain and suffering you did to my Izuku. At that moment, Shoto tries to struggle against the restraints in Momo's grip, but it wasn't enough as Momo placed the chip onto the back of his neck as suddenly, his entire body freezes for a second as Momo released Shoto from her grip and steps back as Shoto begins to move again. Shoto. I don't feel different. Your microchip failed. Momo. Oh really? Shoto, slap yourself. And just like that, Shoto's hand moves on its own as it raised itself up and slapped Shoto across the face as his hand dropped onto the table as Shoto was utterly shocked that his hand just slapped him on Momo's command. Momo. Shoto, slam your head 3 times on the table. Shoto's head then proceeds to raise itself against his will before slamming head onto the table, making him scream and groan as it then raised itself back up and slammed back down as it then raised back up for the final time and slammed hard on the table. Shoto groans. This cannot be happening. I cannot do anything against your orders. Momo. That's right, Shoto. The chip controls your mind and body now. You'll do anything and everything I say. Shoto. Why you damn bitch. Momo. Now then. With this chip, you will answer my question. Shoto. And no. I won't. Momo. You have no choice. Now, Shoto Todoroki. Where are they? Where are the Crusaders? Where is Toshinori Yagi? Shoto could feel the chip active, trying to force him to comply with Momo, to give up the location of the Crusaders, as he tries to resist it as much as he could, but he truly couldn't do anything as he was forced to comply. Shoto. They're within a hidden base within the mountains. All of the Crusaders, including the leaderships is there. Momo. Good. Now, what did you mean by All Might won't be weak for long? Shoto. Lady Night-Eye informed them about the Shie Hassaikai. One of the few mafia gangs within Japan. She mentioned about a little girl named Mary with a rewind quirk. Momo's eyes widened in shock and horror as she realized what the Crusaders were planning next. If they get their hands on this little girl's, they'll force her to use her quirk on Toshinori, rewinding his body to the point he wouldn't have the scar. Worse, he might be able to have Ofa again. Momo. Okay then, Shoto. Sleep for the next 24 hours. Suddenly, Shoto falls asleep as he slammed his head on the table as Momo rushed out of the interrogation room and into the observation room next door, where Izuku and Gallius were watching everything as they both had a look of concern on their faces as they know they needed to get to this girl before the Crusaders do. Chapter 7. Three-way battle for the girl. No one Pav. At the Crusaders' base, the leadership were informed by Hagakure Toru of the defeat of Shoto Todoroki at the hands of Izuku Midoriya, as they were all utterly shocked and furious, as they were shocked to hear that Izuku somehow gained a quirk, as they all still believes that he was still quirkless, but they were also angry because they have lost Shoto to the enemy, when Hagakure explained everything to the leadership. There were a couple of red flags for the Yagi that were most concerning, as Hagakure described the quirk that Izuku used as it seemed similar to Ofa, which would be impossible to believe. The other red flag was Izuku created a shockwave that rendered Shoto incapable to fight back, and the final red flag was how Izuku injected something into Shoto and rendered him quirkless by destroying both his quirk and his quirk factor, as this was truly concerning for the Yagis, however. Tori talked with the others and convinced them to proceed with the plan to attack the Shie Hassaikai, as she convinced them once they get the girl named Eri, they could use her to restore Toshinori back into his prime All Might body, and the balance of power would shift back into their favor. It was decided to Team Dynamite, consistent of Katsuki, Kitsumi, Kirishima, Mina, Denki, and Shiro, as they would lead 50 Crusaders to attack the Shie Hassaikai, and has one goal in mind. Secure the girl. Meanwhile, at UA, Izuku and Momo returned to the school and immediately went to Nezu's office as they informed him of the location of the Crusaders' base, but they also informed him of the Crusaders' plan to attack the Shie Hassaikai to get their hands on a little girl named Mary with a rewind quirk, as they believe that the Crusaders are going to use the girl to rewind All Might's body to restore him to his prime body and power, as Nezu called in some heroes that'll help join the attack against the Crusaders. And save the girl, as Izuku, Momo, and Kyoka would be joining the assault, as they were also getting support from the world government agents and soldiers as they were given objectives to take out the Crusaders and the Shie Hassaikai members, but their primary objective is simply get the girl before the Crusaders. Time skip. Inside the Shie Hassaikai compound, Kaichisaki, also known as Overhaul, was doing his usual experimentation on the 10-year-old girl named Eri, as he has been using her blood to create his quirk-canceling bullets. He has been using the confusion and the chaos between the Crusaders and the world government to conduct his business, while also hiring more thugs to secure the compound, as he didn't know what to expect, as he was just finishing up with his experimentation, till suddenly the entire compound shakes violently. Overhaul. What's going on? Chronostasis. Boss. We're under attack. Overhaul. By whom? Chronostasis. The Crusaders. They're being led by Team Dynamite. Overhaul shock. But why? Realize, Eri, they're here for Eri. Chronostasis. The others are holding them off. But some from Team Dynamite is coming. Overhaul. We need to get Eri out of here. We cannot afford to lose her. Chronostasis. Understood, boss. Meanwhile, as the Crusaders were attacking the Shie Hassaikai compound, the world government forces arrived as they opened fire on the unexpected Crusaders, as the heroes charged in to fight the Crusaders and the Shie Hassaikai, as Izuku and his group were able to get around and into the compound, as Izuku used his skill to search the compound, as No's Overhaul is on the move with Eri, but two members from Team Dynamite were too far behind them. Stop right there, you bastards. Izuku and the group then stopped and looked directly in front of them as they saw that it was none other than the four members of Team Dynamite. Kirishima, Mina, Denki, and Shiro, much to their complete and utter annoyance, but this would only means that the other two must be Katsuki and Kitsumi, who are chasing Overhaul. Kirishima. You're gonna pay for what you've done to us, Deku. Izuku. It's your own fault, you inhumane bastards. Mina. We don't care, you have a quirk now. You are still too weak against me. Izuku. Shoto believes that same. Before I defeated his ass and destroyed his quirk. Denki. Jiro. How could you still stand with them against us? You're true friends. Kyoka. You and those dumbasses threaten my family. You really think I would ever join your evil quirkist ass? Shiro. We aren't evil. We are only doing what Japan's needs. They need strong heroes like us and All Might. Izuku. You bastards aren't heroes. You are nothing but one of tyrants. And All Might, he is even worse. Hiroshima. Grrr. You'll know your place beneath us, Deku. Hiroshima rushed in with his quirk enraged as he swung for Izuku, but Izuku grabbed the red-haired tyrant's hand and sucker punched him in the face with OFA at 20%, which shattered pieces of Hirošima's hardened skin before preforming a flying drop kick, sending the red head to fly backward and into a wall. Mina. You'll pay for that, you bastard. Mina then sprays streams of acid at Izuku, as before it could reach him, Momo gets in front of him and creates a large shield and blocks the incoming acid, as to Mina's surprise, the acid wasn't melting through the shield as it was sliding off as Momo wipes the acid off the shield and into the ground, which did create a burnt mark. Mina. What the hell? Momo. You like that, you pink tyrant. Before Mina could react or do any kind of counterattack, Kyoka lets out a sound wave, which was much larger and louder than before, as the sound waves hits both Mina and Zero, was both of them were sent into a wall, knocking both of them out cold, as Denki turned to face Kyoka as he was angry that she attacked his friends. Denki? You'll pay for hurting our friends, Jiro. Kyoka. No. I won't. You'll pay for your crimes against humanity. Denki. Damn you. You will love me. Even by force. Indiscriminate shock. 2 million volts. Denki would then use his ultimate move as he was planning to use it against Izuku, Momo and Kyoka to knock them all out, but he didn't notice that his ultimate move wasn't working as intended as the lightning were redirected directly at Izuku. As his body was absorbing all of the lightning from Denki's move as his OFA was being supercharged with a lot of energy as it finally stopped as Denki was now in his short-circuit state as Izuku was engulfed with lightning as Momo used her quirk to create restraints as she restrained Hiroshima, Mina, Denki and Zero. Kyoka. You alright, mophead? Izuku. Yeah. I'm fine. Just supercharged. You guys got this? Momo. Yeah. We'll be fine. Go. And get the girls. Izuku nods before taking off in sound-breaking speeds, as because of his quirk being supercharged, his speed was much faster, as he was using the system to guide him in the direction of where Overhaul and Eri were. Meanwhile, Overhaul was fighting off against both Kitsuki and Kitsumi as they were able to catch up to them, and their demand was simple, hand over Eri, as it was pretty clear to Overhaul that they have something intended for her, as despite what he has done to her, he wasn't going to give her up to traitorous heroes like them, as he used his quirk to block their barrage of explosions before sending waves of spikes at them, which they dodged. Kitsuki. Just give us the damn brat, villain. Overhaul. Like hell I will. She is my golden ticket to Shie Hassaikai glory. Kitsumi. No. With that power, we will restore Almight to glory. Neither of you will have that chance. Kitsuki and Kitsumi then turned around and they could see a blurry with green and yellow lightning charging at them as it was none other than Izuku, as before either one of them could react, Izuku tackles directly into Kitsuki in full force, pushing him past Overhaul and into a wall as Kitsuki was sent flying through the hole in the wall. Kitsumi. Brother. Izuku. Like I'll ever allow that arrogant ass become prime again. Kitsumi. You will not stop us Deku. You're weak. Izuku. TCH. I say that Almight is even weaker. Kitsumi. How dare you call your new overlord such disrespect? Kitsumi then sends a barrage of explosions at Izuku, but he then disappeared and reappeared in front of Kitsumi in an instant, shocking her as Izuku delivered an electricized gut punch, combining OFA at 20% with some of the electricity that he absorbed from Denki's ultimate attack, as Kitsumi felt the punch in her stomach as it actually stunned her too as she was sent flying, but then, Izuku used Black Whip to wrap around Kitsumi and sends the electricity through Black Whip, making Kitsumi become electricized. Kitsumi. AHHHHH. Izuku. That's right, bitch. Scream in pain for what you've done to me. Izuku then used Black Whip to slam Kitsumi directly into the ground as she was already unconscious from being electricized as Izuku retracted Black Whip before snapping his fingers as Kitsumi was then heavily restrained with special kind of anti-quirk restraints as Izuku turned to face Overhaul, who was still holding Eri, before looking to see Kitsuki climbing out of the hole as he could see his sister was restrained and captured. Kitsuki. Deku. You damn bastard. Izuku. Shut the buck up, you insufferable mutt. Kitsuki. How dare you? You'll know your place beneath us. Kitsuki then charged forward at Izuku in a blinding rage as he swung with his right arm, which was exactly what Izuku was expecting, as just as Kitsuki was about to use his quirk, something sliced at his right arm as his entire right arm was sliced off as Kitsuki was utterly shocked before screaming in immense pain as Kitsuki looked to see Izuku was holding a sword in his hand, which wasn't there before. Kitsuki. Where did that sword come from? Izuku. That doesn't concern you, dead man. Itsuki then proceeded to get back up into his feet, despite the fact that his arm was still bleeding. He looked to glare directly at Izuku, only to see Izuku was directly in front of him, as Izuku then grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off the ground as Kitsuki gasps for air while glaring directly into Izuku's eyes. Kitsuki. Why you'll never win, Deku. Almight shall return. And Japan shall be his to rule. Izuku. Not today. Izuku used another skill as Kitsuki's body began to glow more and more till suddenly, his entire body bursts into many pieces as blood was scattered everywhere as Izuku looked at his hand that was holding Kitsuki's throat as within his hand was a small orb as the orb contained the soul of Kitsuki Bakugo as Izuku wasn't done making this brat suffer yet as he put it into his inventory before turning to overhaul. Izuku. So, Kai Chisaki. What are you gonna do? Fight me and die? Or surrender and live? Overhaul terrified. I surrender. I don't wanna die. Please, take the girl. Overhaul then shakenly hands Izuku Eri as he picked up the girl and hugs her tightly to calm her down while glaring down at Overhaul, who had his hands up, and within a few seconds, the world government forces arrived where they were and saw that the situation has been handled as the Shie Hassaikai compound secured as the Crusaders takes a major defeat. Chapter 8. Breaking of Tyrants PT1. No one Pav. After the battle at the Shie Hassaikai compound, the world government secured it as the Shie Hassaikai, and the Crusaders were rounded up and apprehended, with only 3 Crusaders escaping. But what the Crusaders didn't know is that one of the world government agents sneaked a tracker onto them, as it would lead them to the hidden base, as they needed confirmation of Shoto's claim of the base itself. The defeat and apprehension of Team Dynamite was a major bonus, as they have truly defeated one of the best teams within the Crusaders. Team Dynamite was taken to the detention center before being stripped of everything they had on and forced to wear prisoner clothes as they were heavily restrained with anti-quirk restraints. Meanwhile, Izuku was in the office with Gallius, going over the mission report and informed him that Kitsuki Bakugo was dead. Gallius was happy due to the fact that Kitsuki was one of the many on the list who were sentenced to be executed on the spot, as a screen displayed the pictures and names of the members of the Crusaders who were sentenced to immediate execution, as it was none other than Toshinori Yagi, Tori Yagi, Hani Yagi, Stan Yagi, Kitsuki Bakugo and Shoto Todoroki, as these individuals were flagged as an immediate threat to mankind and are to be executed without mercy or remorse, as Izuku gladly accepted it. Izuku then asked to take Shoto and Denki back to UA for personal reasons, as Gallius allowed it, knowing that they deserve whatever for what they did to Izuku. Time skip. At UA, within a private bedroom, Shoto and Denki were sitting down on the chairs, but they were unconscious as they then started to slowly wake up as they turned their heads to look around, but they couldn't move their bodies at all, as Denki tried to move his body, but it refused to obey him as Shoto didn't even try. He knows that it's pointless to try and resist. Shoto. Stop struggling, Denki. It's pointless. Denki? What do you mean, Shoto? We can escape this. Shoto. We cannot. We cannot move our bodies. They forbid us to move. Denki? They? Who's they? Shoto. Izuku, Momo and Kyoka. They have control over us. Denki? But how? Shoto. They placed microchips on the back of our necks. They have control of our minds and bodies. We cannot resist their commands. Denki? But that's impossible, isn't it? Oh, it's very much possible. You braid dead fool. Shoto and Denki then turned their head towards the door as Momo and Kyoka walked in. However, the boys then blushed to see both the girls that they moved were their underwear, as they were actually getting erected. However, Momo and Kyoka looked at the boys in disgust before smirking as the boys has no idea what's coming. Shoto. Momo, you look so hexy. Denki. Kyoka, you're so. Momo. Just stop. We don't want your flattery. Kyoka. It's disgusting that you think you have a chance with us. Shoto. But we have our quirks. Momo. You mean Denki has a quirk? You're quirkless now. Denki. That Deku ruined his future. He will pay for this. Kyoka. How rude. Shoto, slap Denki in the face. Shoto's hand then to raise up and slap Denki in the face, sending him stumbling out of his seat and onto the ground as Denki was shocked, but he couldn't move his hand to touch his face. Momo. Denki. Return to your seat. Denki's body then proceeds to move on its own as he gets himself off the ground and proceeded to sit down on the chair next to Shoto, as Denki was the girls truly has control of their bodies. Momo. Besides, quirks aren't always everything. Kyoka. Exactly. You can't use your quirk to pleasure a person. Momo. You two and the rest of those boys are so confident in your quirks. That leaves one question. Kyoka. Shoto Todoroki. Denki Kaminari. You are ordered to strip down completely. Present your bodies to us. Shoto and Denki's eyes widened in shock and horror as their body responded to the girl's commands as they get out of their seats and proceeded to strip out of their clothes as the boys tried to resist as they didn't want to reveal their secret, but their bodies continues to strip them as a few moments later, Shoto and Denki stood completely naked before Momo and Kyoka as their secret was exposed as they both has little micro henizes as the girls then laughs at them. MOMO laugh. Oh my god. They're so small. KYOKA laugh. You truly though you could pleasure with small henizes like yours. SHOTO blush. Shut up. BNKI blush. I bet Deku's is even smaller. Not even close, micro henis. Everyone then turned around to see Izuku was walking inside of the room, wearing nothing but boxers on as his six-pack abs were showing off to everyone within the room, as the one thing that they all notice is something big was pressing against his boxers, as the boys were shocked, while the girls were smiling with excitement, as Izuku got between Momo and Kyoka and rested his arms around their necks while grabbing their breasts, making the girl moan as pressing up against him. As Shoto and Denki were heartbroken to see the girl they moves pressing themselves against Izuku while getting furious as they were about to shout out at him, but Izuku. Silence, you two. Sit down and watch me buck Momo-chan and Kyoka-chan. Shoto and Denki was truly about to scream profanity at him, but as he commanded, they now could no longer talk as their bodies moved them back to their seat and looked forwards. They couldn't even move their eyes away from Izuku, Momo and Kyoka as the girls then pushes Izuku onto the bed as Kyoka pounced on top of him before making out with him as he kisses her back, inserting dominance as Kyoka already loses as Izuku explores her mouth with his tongue while fondling her ass. Making her moan more while Momo was between his legs as she then pulled down his boxes as she was smacked across the face a bit as she was surprised, but she was very happy to see Izuku's cock was much bigger than Denki and Shoto. It was truly bigger, longer and thicker, as it looks around 20 inches as Denki and Shoto felt truly inferior as Momo pressed her face against his shaft and sniffed it in immediately. Her entire body becomes super hot as she was feeling very aroused as she sticks out her tongue and pressed it against his shaft before staring into his eyes for permission. Lemon skipped. And for the rest of the night, Izuku bucked Momo and Kyoka while torturing Shoto and Denki. No one outside of the room could hear anything, as that special room was designed by Izuku himself as it was completely soundproof. No one would be able to hear anything outside of the room, but also, time flows different between within the room and outside of it, as 24 hours within the room would only be a couple hours outside of the room, as it was created for the purpose of sleeping or bucking around. Chapter 8.5. Breaking of Tyrants PT2. No one POV. After hours and hours of unstopped bucking, Izuku was finally done as his clones vanished. He looked to see both Momo and Kyoka were laying on the bed, trembling in pleasure as their bodies were covered in plenty of sperm, while their stomachs were filled with so much sperm, they actually looked pregnant before looking back at Shoto and Denki as they looked completely broken, and their souls seems to have left their bodies after being forced to watch Izuku, the man that they hated for so long. Buxen claims their girls to total submission as Izuku smirks before approaching them as both boys looked up at him with emotionless eyes. Izuku. Hello boys. Enjoy the show. Shoto. Denki. Izuku. Oh silence, huh? That's surprising. Shoto. What do you want, master? Izuku. Oh master now. That good, my little Shoto. Denki. I'm here too, master. Izuku. Unfortunately boys. I'm not done tormenting you. Shoto. We're sorry for our past actions. Denki. We'll do whatever you say. Izuku. Unfortunately. I need to ensure that you won't cross me. I may have broken you mentally, but not physically yet. Shoto Denki. We'll accept any punishment you deliver, master. Izuku smirk. Trust me, you love your punishment. Izuku then placed his hands on top of their heads as Shoto and Denki didn't struggle or try to resist as thanks to the microchips and being forced to watch Izuku buck their girls, they have fallen into utter submission as Izuku's hands started to glow as Shoto and Denki felt a strange energy flowing through their bodies as they could feel their micro dicks and balls shrinks down till they disappeared and replaced with a hussy, their hair started to grow longer, their chest grew bigger. Becoming huge breasts, their ass becomes huge as well, and finally, their face become feminine as Izuku then lets go of them and brings out a mirror in front of them. Izuku. Take a look at your new selves. Shoto and Denki then looked at themselves in the mirror as they could see that they have been turned from boys into girls as they were confused before looking towards Izuku for answers. SHOTO, you turned us into girls, master. BNKI, what would you have us do? Izuku. I have decided that you'll serve me. But you must be tested first. SHOTO, what should we do to prove ourselves? Izuku. First. I need to rename you. BNKI yes master. Izuku. Shoto, you shall be known as Sakura. Sakura, yes master. Izuku. Denki, you shall be known as Chloe. Chloe. As you wish, master. Izuku. Now, time for your test. Izuku then snapped his fingers as portal appeared as Sakura and Chloe looked at it before standing up from their seats and approached the portal with Izuku as he turned to face them. Izuku. Your test is simple. You must survive within this other dimension for a couple hours. Once it's over, I'll bring you back. Understood? Sakura. Chloe, yes master. Izuku. Good. Now, go. Sakura and Chloe proceeded to walk through the portal as it closed behind them as Izuku smirks, that dimension he sent their two girls to, it would ensure that they are to become so broken, they'll think of nothing else, except to serve as his servants. Meanwhile, in the other dimension, the portal opened up as Sakura and Chloe walked through it as they seemed to appear within the middle of some Kidnaped as they turned around to see the portal was already closed as they began to look around till they both heard something as they turned to see something coming into the light as suddenly, a lone tentacle shot out of the shadow towards the two as Chloe stood in front of Sakura using her quirk on the tentacle. Stunning it a bit as it retreated into the darkness. Sakura. What was that? Chloe. Some kinda monster. Sakura. This is bad. I don't have my quirk. Chloe. We need to find cover, now. Lemon skipped. Time skip. Back at UA, Izuku was waking up within his dorm room as he looked down to see Momo and Kyoka were cuddling up against him as he smiles before getting out of bed and out of their grasp, before going out and into another room, which was empty as he then opened the portal as almost instantly, Sakura and Chloe dropped out of the portal, as they were both trembling in immense pleasure, as they were truly beyond broken. Izuku. Hello ladies. Sakura. Chloe. Master. Sakura and Chloe started top crawl towards Izuku as they were struggling, but succeeded as they grabbed onto his legs and tried to climb up to his face, but fails as they had their tongues sticking out like hungry, horny dogs, as they both had heart shapes in their eyes. Sakura. Master. We promise. We'll be good servant. We'll serve you. And never betray us. Chloe. Yes. We promise master. You promise you our loyalty. Just please. Don't send us back. Izuku then smirks evilly as he placed his hands on their heads, as they seems to be very happy with his touches. They have truly been broken and now have become truly loyal and obedient servants that'll obey his every command. Chapter 9. All Out Assault Eco vs Class A. No one Pav. After turning Sakura and Chloe, formerly Shoto and Denki into his servants, Izuku would then summon Desiree to make a wish to basically change reality a bit as making it as part of their punishment with the permission of the world government. As a result, Shoto and Denki were now considered executed for their crimes and no one would know Sakura and Chloe other than them being the servants of the Midoriya family, with Izuku being their only master. And now, it was finally time as the world government were able to track the tracker from the escaped crusaders, as it was exactly what Shoto said, as the location of the crusaders were within a hidden base within the mountains, as they came to understand why it was picked as the only way onto the base is by flying there, which is why it heavy defended with anti-air weapons, but knowing the arrogance of the crusaders, most of the anti-air weapons wouldn't be used. Only the ones directly on the base itself. Izuku decided to come up with a plan so the crusaders would be so focused on him, they wouldn't notice in time that the world government forces were right on top of them, as he was very much excited to do it, as he wanted to pull something like this for a long time, and it would be so funny to use on those arrogant crusaders. Time skip. At the Crusaders' base, they were finally informed that the mission to retrieve the girl has failed. Not only that, but they lost most of the members that were sent, including Team Dynamite, as this was a major blow to the Crusaders' morale because they have lost Katsuki, the second in command of Class A, which means they would be relying more of Hana to lead, as it was already pretty stressful with the loss of Shoto, and now, they have lost an entire team of strong Crusaders. As the Crusaders were state of panic, they were unaware that above them, hiding just above the base entrance, Izuku was crawling against the wall, waiting for the signal from Gallius, as he then heard something over the intercom in his ear, as it was Gallius. GALLIUS intercom. Midoriya. We're in position. Awaiting you. Izuku, intercom, yes sir. I'll give you the signal soon. Izuku then gets up and looked at the base entrance before proceeding to run down towards the entrance with Ofa, before jumping off and making a superhero landing directly onto the base itself, as the impact was so loud, it gained the attention of the Crusaders as Izuku then slowly stood up and only says one thing. Izuku, GIF. At that moment, all of the Crusaders turned their full attention on top him, raising their quirks and weapons at him, as the Crusaders' leadership rushed over, and they were very surprised that Izuku was here before them, but also smirking menacingly, believing that he was alone. DOSHINORI glare. Izuku Midoriya. DORI glare. You are quite a bold one. HANA glare. Coming straight into the tiger's den. Stan glare. You have caused us a lot of trouble. Izuku. Not my fault that your corrupted asses got exposed for the inhumane monsters you are. Uraraka. How dare you call us monsters? Shuka. What did you do to my brother, Deku? Izuku. You mean, Shoto? Oh nothing. But he has been repurposed. Denya. You'll pay for not knowing your place beneath us. Izuku. Like I would ever submit to you people anyway. Sui. You think you're tough just because you have a quirk now? Izuku. Oh, I know I'm tough. After all, I did execute your second in command. Class A. What? Ashinori. You murdered Kitsuki. Izuku. No. I executed him. It's completely different. Tori. Murder and execution aren't different. They are the same thing. Izuku. That's if the world government didn't already ordered it. Hana. Enough, Deku. You'll pay for killing one of us. Stan. You have just made a true enemy of Class A. Izuku. Oh please. I've always been your enemy since you abused me for being quirkless. I have been waiting a long time for this. Shuka. There's many of us and one of you. You are not going to win this one, Deku. Izuku smirk. And who decided that, Shuka Todoroki? Suddenly, the crusaders could hear something behind them as they all turned around and their eyes widened to see as world government soldiers and heroes were charging into the base as world government transports flies in and unloads more troops into the base as Hana turned back towards Izuku to see that he has Ofa active as he used Black Whip to wrap around her and flung her deeper into the base as Izuku then ran after her. Stan. Hana. Ashinori. Stan. Take your group and defeat that brat. We'll handle the world government forces. Stan nods before running deeper into the base with the rest of Class A as Toshinori leads the Crusaders against the world government forces and heroes as he then injects something into himself, causing his body to shift and grow as he has retaken the form of Almight once again, although it was very unstable, but he needed to do it to lead the Crusaders to victory and survival against those who opposed him. Fight on, my Crusaders. Fight on and crush all who opposes us. Meanwhile, deeper within the base, Hana was sent flying in the air after being flung by Izuku as she rolls on the ground and quickly recovers as she looked up to see Izuku was running directly at her with his Ofa as she dodged out of the way from his charge, but unexpectedly, he grabbed her by the leg and slammed her into the metal ground, cracking her back and making her scream in pain. Hana. Izuku. How you like that, you insufferable wrench. Denya. Recipro burst. Izuku detected Tenya charging up from behind him as Izuku dodged out of the way and at the same time, pulled Hana by the leg into Tenya's incoming attack as she received a powerful kick to the stomach, making her scream in even more pain as she was sent flying into a wall as Tenya was very shocked that he accidentally kicked Hana instead of Izuku, but he was then pissed at him for making him hurt his leader. Denya. Damn you. You made me hurt Hana-sama. Izuku. That's your fault, not mine, Four Eyes bastard. Denya. I'll make you pay for your defiance. Denya then turned around and used his super move again as he believes that he was too quick for Izuku to possibly react in time, but then, Izuku grabbed Iida by the leg that tried to attack him, before using his other free hand to grab Tenya by the throat, before slamming him directly into the metal ground hard, making him scream in pain, before Izuku used Black Whip around Tenya's leg and flung him into another room. Izuku then turned around and faced the rest of Class A that arrived as Stan immediately dashed for him as he used his quirk to strengthen himself and swung for a punch, but Izuku then grabbed the punch with one hand before countering with his other hand, punching Stan with an Ofa-empowered punch, sending him flying backward, but then caught Ejiro and Hagakure as the rest charged in. Sato charged in with Tokoyami as they both had their quirks engaged as Sato swung for a punch on Izuku, only for Izuku to weave the punch and delivered a punch to the gut, sending Sato flying onto the ground as Tokoyami uses Dark Shadow as the darkness of the base should be enough, but then, Izuku used one of his other skills as his body shined brightly, which affected the entire area as it was so bright, it forced Dark Shadow to retreat and before Tokoyami could react. Izuku appeared in front of him and grabbed him by the face and slammed him directly into a wall as Izuku then turned his attention to Aoyama and Uraraka, but then noticed that he couldn't move as he looked down to see purple balls next to his foot. Mineta. I got him. Get him. Class A then smirked evilly as they believed that they could beat the living breaks out of Izuku and make him become their slave for their own sick pleasure, but then they noticed that Izuku was smirking even more evilly as suddenly, black flames erupted from his feet as it burned off the purple balls from his foot and suddenly appeared directly in front of Mineta, towering over him as the little adult midget cowers in fear. Izuku. Even at 20 years old, you're still a creepy little man. As before Mineta or anyone else could possibly react, Izuku charged up Ofa into his arm and then punched Mineta directly square in the face as he was slammed directly into the ground, but his head was completely obliterated, leaving nothing but his little body and blood spatter around where his head used to be as Izuku stood back up and looked at his covered hand before turning around and whips the blood off his hand. Izuku. Come on, Class A, show me what I missed for 4 years. Enraged, Aoyama used his naval laser quirk as he began to fire a full power shot at him, but Izuku simply sidestepped the attack as it hits a wall a couple feet behind him as Izuku then rushed directly at Aoyama, who in a panic, started spamming naval lasers at Izuku, but keeps missing him as he then charged his belt laser, but it was too late as Izuku was already in front of him as Aoyama was about to fire his belt laser anyway. Izuku punched directly into the belt itself, causing Aoyama's naval laser to not escape and cause the belt to explode as Aoyama was sent flying back with burns on his stomach from the belt's explosion. Sui and Uraraka charged in as Sui used her tongue and tried to wrap around Izuku for Uraraka to use her quirk on him, but Izuku then weaves Sui's tongue before grabbing and tagging hard on her tongue, causing Sui to be sent flying directly at him before Izuku then delivered a powerful kick to Sui's stomach, making her cough up saliva and sent her flying backwards into a wall as Uraraka was pissed off as she rushed at Izuku, almost reached out to use her quirk on him, but then he dodged her hand and grabbed her wrists, squeezing it tightly, making her scream in pain as Izuku's grip was breaking her wrist. Uraraka. Let me go. Let me go, you damn Deku. Izuku scoff. Whatever you say, Dynamite's baby mama. Izuku then lets go of Uraraka's wrist as she dropped to the ground, holding her nearly shattered wrists as she then glares up at Izuku, only to receive a devastating kick to the face as it actually shattered her jaw and sent her flying through a wall, and another till her back was slammed into the third wall as she was knocked unconscious. Izuku then turned to the last member of Class A still awake, Kota, as he was just on the ground, trembling in utter fear and terror as he just watched his entire class being defeated by the one person who they all believed to be weak and inferior as Izuku walked over to him as he towered over Kota. Koda mind. This wasn't Izuku, this isn't the one weakling we treated badly, this was a monster bent on revenge. Izuku? Boo. Koda's fear has now skyrocketed as he was in so much fear and terror, he ended up going into complete shock as he dropped to the ground on his back as Izuku then looked at the unconscious bodies of Class A before snapping his fingers as the Class A were all put into heavily anti-quirk restraints as he then noticed that there were 2 missing. We ain't done, Deku. Izuku then turned around and saw that it was none other than Hana and Stan, the twin Yagis that made his life a living hell, as he smirked even menacingly that they were still awake and alive as he has turned his full attention onto them as the Yagi twins were furious to see that Izuku Midoriya, this inferior being, has single-handedly defeated the entirety of Class A as they now believed that he doesn't deserve that power and it would be used to ensure the Crusaders' control and domination of Japan and in the future, the entire world. Hana. Damn you, Deku. You ruined everything we worked hard on. Stan. Those powers you have. You don't deserve. Only us Yogis deserve such power. Hana. Once we defeat you, we will have all of your powers and ensure the Crusaders become the ultimate rulers of Japan and Earth. Izuku. Like that'll ever happen. You won't defeat me. You won't be walking out of here alive anyway. Stan. We'll show you why your resistance is futile. Hana and Stan glanced at each other and nods before suddenly, both of them were engulfed with energy as Izuku was unfazed by this sudden transformation. He could sense that both Hana and Stan has Ofa, but from what he could feel, Hana has the real Ofa, while Stan has a copy of it, but he was curious on how they could have copies Ofa as he could only think of one possible way. Toriyagi, Lady Night-Eye. Izuku. So, you both have Ofa. Hana. That's right, weakling. Witness the future rulers of Japan. Stan. With our Ofas, no one will stop us. All villains and heroes will tremble before us. Hana. And then, Japan will fall in line under our control. Under the rule of the Crusaders. Stan. And once we kill you and take your powers, we'll become truly unstoppable. Hana. Stan. Prepare to face your end, Deku. Izuku was completely silent at this point, he hasn't said or did anything as Hana and Stan smirked, believing that they have made him scared of them, trembling in fear and believes that they have won, but then, they started to hear him chuckle as it becomes louder and louder, till it turned into full laughing, as he was laughing like he has lost his mind, which only seems to make Hana and Stan become annoyed. Izuku calms. Oh man. That was hilarious. How long did you two create that little speech of yours? I'll admit, it needs a little bit more work. Hana scoffs. You damn Deku. Stan growls. You'll regret those words. Izuku smirk. Oh, I'll regret nothing. Instead, I'll take great pleasure ending your rule before it begins. Suddenly, Izuku was then engulfed in the same energy as Hana and Stan, but it was much different, it was stronger than their own as Izuku gets into a fighting stance, staring directly at Hana and Stan, who also gets into a fighting stance while glaring daggers at him, as the battle between the Midoriyas and the Yagis was about to truly begin. Chapter 10. The Midoriyas vs the Yagis. No one Pav. The battle at the Crusaders' base continues as the world government forces and heroes were gaining the advantage over the Crusaders, as more and more of the Crusaders' grunts were taken down and apprehended as it gotten to the point where the heroes were focused on two of the biggest threats to them, which being Toshinori Yagi, aka Almight and Tori Yagi. Aka Lady Night-Eye as Toshinori used an unstable drug on himself to allow him to become All Might again and fight alongside his wife against the people who opposes them and their crusaders. As that was happening, something else was happening deeper within the crusaders' base. Deeper within the base, Izuku Midoriya was fighting off against both of the Yagi twins, Hana and Stan Yagi, as it was pretty clear that Izuku has the advantage over Hana and Stan, as Hana charged in for a punch, but Izuku grabbed her punch and punched her with his free hand, before going back in with a backhand, just as Stan rushed in behind Izuku and goes in for a kick, Izuku weaves before spinning around with Hana as he slammed the twins into each other. Before going behind them and kicked them down as they crashed hard into the ground. Izuku. Ofa. Full cowling. Majestic Destroyer Flame. Izuku then blasts a massive wave of black flames directly at the two, as Hana and Stan saw the massive attack coming at them, as they attempted to jump out of the way, and as they did, the flames actually reached their legs and caused severe burns, as the twins screams in immense pain and agony, as while the flames were let off, the pain on their legs were truly severe, as they could barely stand up as it is, but they did anyway. As Hana and Stan looked in the direction of Izuku as he was seen walking their way, however, he didn't walk like he would normally as instead, he wanted to taunt them a bit and decided to walk like he was Dio Brando, while looking dead serious at them. Izuku? So. Despite having your legs burnt to shit. You still wanna fight me? HANA pants. Damn right we are, Deku. STAN pants. We must fight. For the Crusaders' sake. Izuku scoffs. Your Crusaders already lost. You no longer have any supporters left. All of your fans abandoned you after you were exposed. I mean, why would anyone in their right mind would ever follow the commands of your inhumane crusaders? HANA angry. Shut your mouth. You'll know your place. STAN angry. Everyone will thank us for becoming their rulers. Izuku sigh. Then, you truly cannot be helped. You know what? Let's go somewhere else. Izuku then appeared behind Hana and Stan before grabbing them by the head before teleporting away as they went to where All Might and Lady Night-Eye were fighting as they appeared in the middle of the fight, causing the heroes to stop fighting as All Might and Lady Night-Eye turned to see Izuku was holding their kids by their heads before kicking them towards the two Crusaders leaders as they rushed to their kids before All Might glares at Izuku. What did you do to them, you brat? Izuku. I burned their inhumane ass legs. Night-Eye. How dare you do this to our kids? Izuku. You started this a long time ago. And I landed. Here and now. All Might then lunged at full speed at Izuku as he swung for his head, as Izuku smirks before weaving around, dodging the punch before punching All Might in the stomach, making All Might gasp in shock and pain, as he was sent back flying a bit before recovering as Izuku, then lunged at All Might, he sensed Night-Eye charging at him, as he weaved his body in the air, dodging Lady Night-Eye's hand, but before she could get clear, Izuku grabbed her by the hair and tugged at it, making her scream in pain, and she was dragged back before launching her across the base and into the ceiling as she was plastered on the ceiling before Izuku glanced back at All Might, who was fuming with rage at what Izuku just did to his wife. You damn brat. How dare you tug on my wife's beautiful hair. I'll bucking kill you like the disposable runt you are. All Might then charged directly at Izuku once again as Izuku recognizes the move that All Might was about to use on him, as it was the same move that he used on All for 1 year ago, as Izuku then smirks because he has the same similar move to it, but his would be much stronger than All Might's move, as Izuku unleashed his OFA to the maximum while linking it to the login system, as the potential of his OFA were now unlimited. United States of. Just as All Might was about to land his most powerful ultimate move on Izuku, he vanished backward in an instant, making All Might miss his mark as before he could react, Izuku reappeared in front of All Might again and then punched him over and over again, with each punch getting stronger and faster till it becomes nothing a barrage of punches that were so fast, it looks like a barrage of after imagines as All Might couldn't withstand the pounding anymore. It was so strong and so fast that his buff form popped like a balloon, leaving exposed parts of his flesh bleeding out from each of them. DOSHINORI mind. How is this brat more powerful than me? That's impossible. Izuku. Let's finish this. System release. Unlimited potential. OFA. full cowling. Izuku then appeared in front of the defenseless Toshinori before delivering another barrage of punches as not to kill him yet, but to inflict immense amount of pain and agony as Toshinori screams in so much pain and agony like he never truly felt before as he was then uppercut by Izuku, sending him flying up in the center of the base as Izuku then leaps into the air, lands directly onto the ceiling before leaping back down directly at Toshinori as he unleashed his ultimate move. Izuku. Unlimited United States of World Smash. Izuku then kicked Toshinori directly with the full, limitless power and potential of Ofa at full force as Toshinori screams in unimaginable pain and agony as Toshinori Yagi bursts into pieces of flesh and blood as even that was vaporized just from the immense aura and energy around Izuku. Night-eye. H honey. Hana Stan. Dad. Daddy. Izuku then lands on the ground with a thud, creating a large crater on impact as he then stood tall and proud as he looked towards the world government soldiers and fellow heroes as they cleared the way for him as he approached the totally defeated Yagi family as they looked at him and immediately become scared and terrified as they tried to crawl away, only to be kept in place as they were now forced to look directly at Izuku, who was staring down at them. Izuku. This is the end of you, Crusaders. Chapter 11. The Aftermath. Genie's Wish. No one Pav. The battle was finally over, the Crusaders has been defeated after the death of Toshinori Yagi, or the Crusaders' supreme leader, Almight as all of the Crusaders' moral were dropped upon their leader's death and surrendered because they know that if they kept fighting, they would have to face Izuku Midoriya and they knew that they didn't have a chance of defeating him. The world government forces and heroes rounded up all of the remaining Crusaders as the members of Class A were all found and restrained as the base itself was completely secured and the members of the Crusaders were transported back to the detention center where they were stripped of everything and put on prisoner jumpsuits while also microchipped to ensure that the Crusaders doesn't do anything. The remaining Yagis, being Tori, Hana and Stan, were kept within a different room. Heavily restrained with modified microchips, which would be much stronger than the normal ones, as they were now the remaining leader of the Crusaders, as Gallius was in his office with Izuku, Hasashi and Nezu, as they were discussing what they should do with the Crusaders, as they had the original plan, stripping the Crusaders of their quirks and then sent them off to prison, but Izuku. Hasashi and Nezu wanted to have some more personal punishments for the Yagis in Class A, as Gallius allowed it, as the Yagis in Class A were officially stripped of their quirks before being transported back to UA to deliver their punishments. Back at UA, Izuku was in Nezu's office with his true family, friends and allies as they were all staring, glaring at the Yagis in Class A in anger, hatred and disgust for all of the pain and suffering they have influenced on everyone within this room, especially Izuku and his true family, the Midoriyas as they have suffered the most from the Yagis in Class A. Izuku was just glaring at the Yagis the most. They were the family of the man that ruined his life for his own selfish reasons and even tried to screw the lives of those who he truly care about, as every part of him wanted to end their lives for what they have done, but he believes that there is a worse punishment for them, worse than death itself. Nezu. I cannot express how deeply disappointed in what you lot have become. You have become something that's unfitting of a hero. I cannot even say that you've become villains because you're even worse than that. All of you have become nothing more than monsters in our eyes. The members of Class A were pissed, they wanted to scream, to shout, to cuss out Nezu, but they couldn't because of the microchips as they were forbidden from speaking at all, and they couldn't even move their own body unless given the order to move by Izuku or one of his many allies who are in the room right now. Nezu. The world government wanted to send you all off to prisons where you would never escape from. But we have convinced them to allow us to keep you with us. We will give you better and more deserving punishments for what you've done. Hasashi. What is their punishments? Nezu. I have decided to keep them here in UA as living targets of those who were affected by the Crusaders. I'm sure that most of the students who'll join the school would be Crusaders victims. They would be allowed to unleash any anger and frustration upon them, and the teachers allowed to do the same too. The members of Class A were shocked and even more pissed as before. They were the heroes of Japan, the ones that would have ruled over the nation, with the help of All Might and the former Madam President, but now, they were severely reduced to nothing more than to become punching bags for weaklings. Nezu. Young Midoriya. Since you and your family has suffered the most from these monsters, do you have anything you want from them? Izuku was glaring down the Yagis in Class A, as he was actually fine with Nezu's choice of punishment, but he wanted to give even worse punishment than that as he looked over to his family and they looked at him, as they knew what he wanted and not in agreement. Izuku. I do, Uncle Nezu. Allow me and my family to claim some of them as our personal servants. The servants of the Midoriya family. The members of Class A and even the Yagis were shocked at what Izuku did said. He and his family, the Midoriyas, would pick some of them to become servants of their family, as they were now scared of who exactly would they pick to become the servants of the Midoriyas. Nezu. Very well. Then, who would you like to keep as servants? Izuku. People. Hisashi. Go ahead, son. Izuku smirk. Then, the servants of the Midoriya family will be Tori Yagi, Hana Yagi, Stan Yagi, Ichaku Uraraka, Mina Shido, Tsuyu Asui and Toru Hagakure. The Yagis and the Class A girls were utterly shocked and utterly terrified that they were the ones to be picked as they looked up at Izuku, who was looking down at them with a smirk on his face, as they noticed Momo and Kyoka pressing against him with smirks on their faces too, making them feel some kind of way, while Tori looked towards Hisashi, Inko and Nana, as they all had smirks on their faces, making her feel different. Nezu. Okay then. You can keep them. We'll keep the rest of them. Time skip. At the Midoriya Manor, formerly the Yagi Manor after Hisashi brought the manor for Izuku as it was to become his after the Crusaders has been officially dealt with, the family were in the living area, along with Momo and Kyoka, as they wanted to move in to be with Izuku, as they were observing their new servants, as the girls were all wearing identical maid uniforms. Stan was wearing a butler uniform as they were instructed to clean the entire manor as Izuku sneaks away with Momo and Kyoka and takes him to his new master suite, the former bedroom of Toshinori and Tori, as they wasted no more time and proceeded to buck each other as they have been horny since the new servants were picked as it made them very horny and aroused. They bucked for hours and hours till it was 10 p.m. as Momo and Kyoka were sleeping very satisfied, but for some reason Izuku was still horny as he went to the bathroom and used cold water to wash his face, but it didn't work as his hick was still hard as he then thought about Desiree, as he just decided to summon her in the bathroom, but he was very much surprised because when she appeared butt naked while flying on her knees, her back was facing him as she was masturbating, fondling her breasts and fingering her hussy as she was moaning out his name, which made him even more erect. Besire moans. Master Midoriya. Please, let me join your harem. I want to be one of your girlfriends. Please, I wish for you to buck me like you do Momo and Kyoka. Izuku just bites his lips as he slowly approached the distracted Desiree, as he slowly reached out and gently grabbed her upper arms. This caused Desiree to stop fondling and finger herself as she looked back to see Izuku was there as she blushes hard in embarrassment. Desiree. Master Midoriya. I'm so sorry. You should have seen this side of me. Izuku. Hey. Don't worry, okay? Desiree. What do you need me for? Izuku? Well. After seeing that. It seems we both need this. Izuku moved closer to the point he was breathing against her neck as she was now standing her own feet as he then turned her around to face him as he could see the blush on her as he moved his hands towards her cheeks as his face was now next to her ear. Izuku. You've helped me so much. I couldn't have done any of this without you. The Esire blush. Oh of course, master. Izuku. You fulfilled my wishes. And now, allow me to fulfill yours. The Esire blush. Master Midoriya. Izuku. Make your wish. Wish what you desire from me. Desiree. I wish to join your harem. I wish to become your girlfriend too. I wish to be bucked by you and you alone. Izuku. Granted. Granted. And granted. Lemon skipped. Desiree, who was still in a carrying position with Izuku, reached out for the door and opened it as it was revealed that Momo and Kyoka were there, listening to them bucking while masturbating as Izuku walked out of the bathroom with Desiree as she properly introduced herself to the two, as they all then returned to the bed before Izuku then made the room even more soundproof. As for the rest of the night, it was nothing more than loud moaning and skin clapping. And if you're wondering, Kyoka survived 5 rounds of bucking, Momo survived 9 rounds of bucking, and finally, Desiree survived 15 rounds of bucking. Chapter 12. 10 years later epilogue. No one Pav. It has been 10 years since the fall of the Crusaders, as the aftermath of the Crusaders' downfall was both devastating and hopeful. Across the globe, the Crusaders were seen as a rogue faction of fake heroes, who was truly only in it for money, fame, power and control, as this has caused a rift between the people and the heroes, as many people who has received the backhand of society couldn't trust the heroes as much anymore, and the heroes themselves wanted to prove to the people that they were nothing like the Crusaders. The nation of Japan were taking the blunt of it all due to being known as a nation with the most corrupted heroes, as the world government were changing to the laws regarding the heroes and quirks as a whole, as quirk discrimination laws were reinforced, and ensuring that those who wants to become actual heroes were checked properly. Elias resumed his position as the HPSC president of the Japan branch. He was ensuring that thorough background checks were made on all heroes and individuals who wanted to become heroes, and then, there are a few heroes who were accepted rather quickly due to standing against the Crusaders, as they were none other than Eraserhead, Prisant Mick, Midnight, Endeavor, Frostra, Mirko, Creati Momo, Earphone Jack Kyoka, and members of Class B, and then, there was the new hero. The hero that ended the Crusaders itself, Deku. Izuku Midoriya, also known as the login hero. Deku, he started to attend UA to become an official hero, as Gallius wanted to give him a hero license for what he has done for Japan, but Izuku wanted to prove that he was a true hero and went through the proper channels by attending UA, and after 3 years, he immediately started to help with relief efforts within Japan and gained the support of the people due to nearly everyone knowing who he is. The kid who was abused and mistreated for something behind his control and now become the hero that saved the nation from the evil crusaders. Izuku then gets married to Momo, Kyoka and Desiree 2 years after he graduated UA, and the night of their wedding, let's just say that they had the greatest honeymoon of their lives, as they ended up having 9 kids, 3 kids for each of the girls, and then, they have their adopted daughter, Eri Midoriya, as she was very happy to have a loving father, 3 loving mothers and 9 siblings, as Izuku actually asked Desiree to alter Eri's DNA, making Eri a Midoriya by blood, as she was even more happy. As she met the rest of the Midoriya, being accepted by her loving grandfather, grandmothers and auntie, and even her auntie's girlfriend wife. I'm sure you're wondering the fate of the Midoriya family. Well, a year after the fall of the Crusaders, Inko convinced her mother, Nana, to go on a date with Hisashi, as the two hit it off pretty weak, especially with their similar disgust for Toshinori, and after 2 years, Nana ends up getting married to Hisashi and Inko, and then they ended up having 3 more kids to their rising family, as Inko gave birth to another daughter, while Nana gave birth to 2 twin boys, as Nana was happy to be here with her daughter and husband, as she could always imagine Toshinori rolling in his grave, as she wished that she could see that. As for Izumi, well, she actually ended up dating Himiko Toga after her and the rest of the former league were reformed and graduated UA as heroes at the same time as Izuku. Izumi and Himiko truly loves each other, and it was made pretty clear the night of Himiko's graduation, and then, they end up getting married, as they thought about adopting children as theirs, but thanks to Izuku and Desiree, they were able to get Izumi pregnant with Himiko's kids, as they end up having just 2 kids. Which was pretty good for them. In the end, the Midoriya family has become the most popular and beloved family within the nation of Japan, as well as the largest family, with a total of 15 kids altogether, as Eri become the older sister of the family, and then, attends UA to become a hero, as she was trained by Izuku and his allies, to help her control her quirk, and give her more confidence in herself, as she wants to become a rescue hero. Believing that she could help a lot of people with her rewind quirk, as she has made friends with plenty of new UA students who were inspired by true heroes like Deku, as it truly makes Izuku happy that true heroes were being formed. What happened to the former members of Class A? Well, like Nezu said, the boys that weren't chosen by the Midoriyas were kept within UA, as they have become a target of many students within the school, as students from all grades would shout at them, punch them, make fun of them, and so many things because of their involvement with the Crusaders, as they could do nothing about it due to the microchips, as they were forced to endure and repent for their past inhumane actions, as over time they have become a shell of their former selves, as their former rebellious personalities were reduced and replaced with loyalty to UA and their staff. They have become nothing more than mindless drones. As for the Yagis and Class A girls, just like the boys at UA, they too have become mindless drones that's loyal and obedient to the Midoriya family, becoming maids and servants that takes care of the Midoriya manor, as well as the Midoriya kids. Hisashi would take the pleasure of humiliating the former wife of Toshinori, while Izuku would take the pleasure of humiliating the kids of Toshinori, as Tori, Hana and Stan suffered the most, before they have become mindless, loyal and obedient drones. Crime rates across Japan were severely low, lower than during the era of Almight, as a lot of villains and criminals weren't really threatening Japan or hero society like the former Crusaders or the former League of Villains, as thanks to the world government and HPSC President Gallius trying to make the lives within Japan much better, there weren't really many villains and criminals who wants to destroy. There were a few that pops up, but they were defeated by the heroes. The only noticeable problems were the pockets of former heroes who were identified as fakes, but they weren't exactly a threat. They were however monitored by the HPSC Japan branch. Present. Today was a very special day, as it was the annual hero ranking ceremony in Japan, as a lot of people has come to see who has become the top 10 heroes of Japan. As near the front, we could see the family, friends and allies of the Midoriya family, as they were here to watch as HPSC President Gallius walked out onto the stage and speaks out to the crowd. Gallius. Greetings, people of Japan. Welcome to the annual hero ranking ceremony. This is a very special day for everyone, and I am glad to say that we have chosen our top 10 heroes, thanks to all of your votes and support. Now, let us begin. Gallius then reads out the names of the top 10 heroes. Gallius. Coming in at 10th place, we have the copy hero. Phantom Thief. Nito. 10th place, not bad. Not bad at all. Gallius. Coming in at 9th place, we have the rescue hero. Rewind. Eri. It's so good to be here today. Gallius. Coming in at 8th place, we have the underground hero. Stain. I shall end all fakes, wherever they shall hide. Gallius. Coming in at 7th place, we have the sniper hero. Lady Nagant. Lane. I never imagined to be re-accepted. I am honored to be here today. Alias. Coming in at 6th place, we have the transformation hero. Toga. Himiko. It is so good to be here. Alias. Coming in at 5th place, we have the cremate hero. Dobby. Duia. I shall rise where my siblings failed. I'll become a true fire hero. Alias. Coming in at 4th place, we have the destroyer hero. Decay. Thenko. I was once a villain who only wanted destruction. And now, I am a hero who use my quirk for good. Alias. Coming in at 3rd place, we have the hearing hero. Earphone Jack. Hyoka. I never expected to take 3rd place. Thank you for your support. Alias. Coming in at 2nd place, we have the creation hero. Creati. Momo. I am honored to be here before you all. Alias. And finally, coming in at 1st place, the hero that saved the nation from disaster, the hero that ended the crusaders' threat, give it up for your truly, the login hero. Deku. Izuku. How you all doing here today? The crowd cheers loudly as the top 10 heroes stood proud and tall, as Izuku could see his true family, friends, uncles, aunts and allies were all cheering for him and their mothers as Izuku was truly happened to have this, as he never expected all of this would come to light as he started off as a quirkless boy who was neglected, abused, ignored and treated like a plague by those who hated him for no reason at all, and now, he has gained everything he could have wanted. A loving and supportive family, uncles, aunts and friends who all believed in him. He has 3 beautiful wives and 10 kids for his own, and not only that, not only did he become a hero like he always wanted, but he has become the #1 hero of Japan, as he become more than just a hero. He has become a symbol of peace, order, justice, and hope to all who wanted to become heroes. He has ascended beyond what Almight could never be. He didn't just become a hero, but the true hero. The login hero. Deku has become a legend of true heroism. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.